Most people believe men only notice what's obvious: your face, your hair, your clothes, maybe the way you've styled yourself for the day. And yes, those things matter to some degree. But what women don't realize is that men are constantly noticing something much deeper, something that speaks louder than any lipstick shade or dress color. They notice how you carry yourself. They notice your presence before they notice your appearance. Think about it. You can walk into a room wearing the most elegant outfit, perfectly put together, every detail just right. But if you walk in with your shoulders slouched, avoiding eye contact, moving as if you don't want to be seen, that energy will register before anything else. Men don't consciously break it down, but subconsciously they read it immediately. They pick up on the confidence or the lack of it. They sense whether you carry yourself as if you belong or as if you're apologizing for taking up space. That's because body language is one of the most primal ways humans communicate. Long before words, long before language, posture and movement told others whether we were confident, afraid, approachable, or closed off. And to this day, men are wired to pick up on those signals without even realizing it. A man might not be able to explain why he finds one woman captivating and another forgettable, but often the difference isn't in looks, it's in how she carries herself. And carrying yourself doesn't mean being the loudest person in the room or putting on a show. It's not about arrogance. It's about calm assurance. The way you hold yourself says, I know who I am, I don't need to beg for attention, and I don't need to shrink to make others comfortable. When you sit at a table, do you fold into yourself as if you're trying to disappear? Or do you sit upright, present, engaged? When you walk, do you rush with your head down, or do you move steadily, aware, grounded? These little details create an impression that men pick up on almost instantly. Confidence, or the lack of it, has a presence, and presence is magnetic. A woman who carries herself with quiet self-respect often stands out more than the one who's dressed to perfection, but weighed down by insecurity. That's because men notice not just what they see, but what they feel in your presence. Your body language communicates your relationship with yourself. And whether you realize it or not, men read that. Here's the deeper psychology behind it. People respond to congruence. When your internal state matches your external expression, you come across as authentic. Men notice when you carry yourself in a way that matches your inner strength. They notice when your posture communicates openness instead of fear, when your movements reflect intention rather than hesitation. On the other hand, when your body language betrays self-doubt, it creates a subtle dissonance. You can be beautiful, intelligent, even charismatic, but if your posture tells the story of someone unsure of themselves, men pick up on it. And often, that impression speaks louder than your words. Philosophers through the centuries have spoken about the idea of bearing. How a person carries the weight of their existence. Marcus Aurelius, the Stoic emperor, said that dignity is revealed not in titles or riches, but in the way one conducts themselves through ordinary actions. That idea still holds true. Dignity shows in how you walk into a room, in how you shake a hand, in how you take your place at the table. Men notice these things, even if they never say them out loud. And this matters for more than just attraction. It matters for respect. The way you carry yourself sets the tone for how others treat you. If you move through the world with self-respect, people, men especially, are more likely to meet you at that level. But if you shrink, if you minimize yourself, if you carry yourself like you're unworthy, that becomes an unspoken invitation for others to treat you the same way. This is why you don't need to be perfect, polished, or flawless. You just need to be intentional. You don't need to compete with anyone else. You just need to carry yourself like someone who knows they belong, someone who doesn't apologize for existing. And here's the paradox. The less you worry about being noticed, the more noticeable you become. because real presence doesn't demand attention. It commands it, quietly, naturally, without force. So how do you actually build this kind of presence? It starts with awareness. Pay attention to the way you enter a room. Notice your posture when you're sitting or how you hold your head when you're speaking. Are you shrinking or are you standing in your space? Then connect that physical awareness to your mindset, because it's not about faking confidence. It's about choosing self-respect in the small moments. Standing tall not just for appearance, but because you actually believe you deserve to. Making eye contact not as a performance, but as an honest acknowledgement of another human being. Men notice these subtle shifts. They notice when you're grounded in yourself. They notice when you don't chase approval, but let your presence speak. They notice when you move with calm authority instead of rushing through like a background character. They may not compliment it. They may not even articulate it, but it registers and it leaves an impression that lingers far longer than the color of your dress or the details of your makeup. At the heart of it, carrying yourself with confidence is about alignment. It's about living in a way where your body, your mind, and your spirit are not in conflict. It's about choosing to show up fully, not halfway. And when you do that, men notice. They may not tell you, but they feel it. And that feeling can be the difference between being overlooked and being unforgettable. So here's the truth: beauty fades, trends change, but presence endures. A woman who carries herself with strength and grace will always be remembered differently than one who doesn't. And the best part, you don't need anyone's permission to step into that presence. It's not something men give you. It's something you choose for yourself. The way you carry yourself tells the world how to treat you. Men notice it. Everyone notices it. So carry yourself in a way that leaves no doubt about who you are. Because when you do, you won't just be seen, you'll be remembered. When we think about what men notice, most people assume it's something visual, something external. But here's something women often underestimate. Men don't just notice how you look, they notice how you make them feel when you're in a conversation. They notice your energy. They notice the tone you carry into interactions, the emotional atmosphere you bring with you, whether it uplifts or drains, whether it sharpens or softens, whether it makes them lean in or quietly pull back. Think about the last meaningful conversation you had. You probably don't remember every word exchanged. What you remember is how the other person's presence affected you. Did they make you feel lighter, calmer, understood? Or did they leave you tense, uneasy, exhausted? Men are no different. They register the emotional impact of your energy more than the exact words you say. This is because communication isn't just verbal, it's emotional. Psychologists have long emphasized that tone, body language, and energy carry more weight in communication than the literal content of words. You can say all the right things, but if your energy is dismissive, cold, or impatient, that's what will land. Men notice if your tone carries kindness, curiosity, and warmth, or if it's edged with sarcasm, defensiveness, or constant negativity. And it's not that men are fragile or oversensitive, it's that humans are wired to respond to emotional cues. Energy is contagious. When you bring light into a conversation, it doesn't just stay with you. It transfers to the other person. And here's the thing, men may not even articulate this. They may not sit down and say, "I like her energy," in a detailed psychological way, but they feel it. They notice when a conversation feels like sunlight breaking through clouds versus when it feels like walking into a storm. That's why some women leave a lasting impression without saying anything particularly extraordinary. It's not the content, it's the atmosphere they create. This doesn't mean you have to always be cheerful or fake positivity. That's not presence, that's performance. What it means is being intentional about the energy you carry into your interactions. Do you enter conversations seeking connection or seeking validation? Do you listen with genuine curiosity or wait impatiently for your turn to speak? Men notice these patterns. They notice the difference between someone who talks to be heard versus someone who speaks to connect. Now, let's go deeper into why this matters so much. Every man, just like every woman, is looking for refuge in his relationships. The world outside is noisy, demanding, and often unforgiving. What men notice is whether you add to that noise or whether you provide a different kind of space. A space of calm, encouragement, or simple respect. If you bring peace into conversations, you stand out. If you bring chaos, you exhaust. And the truth is, most people don't consciously choose the energy they carry. They just react. But those who are intentional, those who understand the power of their tone and presence, become unforgettable. Philosophically, you could think of it like this: every conversation is a shared space, and what you bring into it is your contribution to that shared reality. If you bring negativity, you pollute it. If you bring respect and attentiveness, you enrich it. Men notice whether you treat conversation as a transaction or as a connection. They notice if you make them feel smaller or if you make them feel seen. And here's the paradox: the more you focus on uplifting others, the more they end up noticing you. And notice how subtle this can be. A simple laugh at the right moment can make a man feel at ease. A patient silence, where you let him finish his thought without rushing, can communicate respect more than 100 words. Even the way you say, "I understand," can either sound dismissive or deeply validating. These small moments add up. Men may forget details of the conversation, but they will not forget the emotional fingerprint it left on them. The psychology of attraction often boils down to this: people are drawn to those who make them feel good in their presence. And feeling good doesn't mean constant entertainment or flattery. It means feeling respected, valued, and understood. Men notice when your energy creates that sense of safety. They notice when your tone makes them feel they can be themselves without judgment. And this isn't just about romance, it's about respect at every level, whether it's friendship, workplace, or partnership. Now, let me be clear, this doesn't mean catering to men's feelings at the expense of your own. It doesn't mean silencing yourself to avoid conflict. It's about understanding the power of emotional responsibility. Because every time you step into a conversation, you are carrying something with you: your mood, your tone, your intent. And people, men included, feel it. If you can align that energy with self-respect, with authenticity, and with calm confidence, you not only elevate the conversation, you elevate yourself. And here's the truth most people miss: men notice the absence of good energy just as much as its presence. They notice when every conversation feels like a debate. They notice when your tone is perpetually sarcastic or critical. They notice when your energy drains more than it gives. And over time, that impression sticks. You may think they're only paying attention to your appearance, but often what defines their memory of you is whether your presence felt heavy or light. So, what does this mean for you? It means you don't have to try so hard to say the perfect thing or perform intelligence or chase charm. What matters more is the energy you project in the process. Are you present? Are you engaged? Are you aligned with respect? That's what lingers. That's what gets noticed. When you realize this, conversations stop being about proving yourself and start being about sharing yourself. They stop being about trying to impress and start being about trying to connect. And when you shift into that, men notice. They notice the difference between someone who takes from the conversation and someone who contributes to it. They notice the difference between a person who makes them feel like a burden and one who makes them feel like a human being worth listening to. At the end of the day, energy speaks louder than words. You can dress beautifully, speak intelligently, and carry yourself with grace, But if the energy you bring into conversations is toxic or dismissive, that will overshadow everything else. Conversely, even if you're quiet, even if you say little, but you bring warmth, attentiveness, and respect, that will leave a deeper mark than any perfectly rehearsed line ever could. Men notice the energy. They may not name it. They may not even be fully conscious of it, but they feel it. And in the end, people don't always remember what you said or what you wore, but they will remember how you made them feel. So the challenge is simple. When you step into any conversation, ask yourself, what energy am I bringing with me? Because that's what will be noticed, remembered, and spoken about long after the words themselves are forgotten.